In May 1962, a fire started burning under the earth in Centralia, Pennsylvania. Over 60 years later, it is still burning. You probably think this is a problem America solved decades ago, or that it was contained somehow, or that nobody lives there anymore, so it doesn't matter. But Centralia challenges every assumption you have. The fire never stopped. The coal seam beneath this one small town has been on fire for longer than most marriages last, longer than most people live. The fire was first reported on May 27, 1962, 64 years of burning, and you've probably never heard of it because nobody can explain what we do about an underground fire that refuses to stop burning. So we do what we always do with unsolved problems. We watch it, we monitor it month after month. We send people down with instruments to measure the heat, and every single month for 6 decades, the fire below Centralia keeps burning, still alive, still spreading, still winning. When the Centralia fire first started, it seemed like a problem with a straightforward solution. The most widely accepted explanation points to controlled trash burning in or near an abandoned strip pit. A common practice in coal country that went terribly wrong. Local firefighters and government teams moved in fast, put out the trash fire. The situation should have been containable, problem solved. Except the fire had already traveled down, deep down into something much larger, the Buck Mountain coal bed, a deep anthracite seam running beneath everything, beneath every building, beneath every street in Centralia, underground in a maze of abandoned mine workings. The fire found something unlimited to burn. State and federal teams tried everything: water, clay blanketing, excavation, flushing. From 1962 to 1978, they spent $3.3 million trying to control this fire. All of it failed because the fire had moved into territories they could not reach. The underground geometry of the old mining tunnels made direct access impossible. So instead of stopping, the fire kept spreading, deeper, hotter, more difficult to pursue. To understand what happened to Centralia, you have to understand anthracite coal and what mining for it does to the land beneath your feet. Coal was first mined in this Pennsylvania area during the 1840s. By 1866, when Centralia was officially incorporated as a borough, thousands of people were digging deep into the earth. These were not surface mines. Anthracite miners descended into shafts hundreds of feet down, then descended further. They dug tunnel after tunnel, warren after warren, creating networks that honeycomb entire regions. Men spent their working lives in absolute darkness, extracting the fuel that would heat homes and power industry across America. When a coal seam was worked out, miners moved on to the next tunnel, the next vein, the next deep place to dig. The old tunnels stayed behind, empty chambers and corridors running beneath neighborhoods, beneath Main Street, beneath the homes where your ancestors lived and worked. These abandoned workings became a perfect fuel chamber. A fire loose in that network would find coal in every direction. No natural limit, no natural firefighting strategy that would work. Just endless tunnel, endless coal, and an endless fire spreading through the dark. The numbers tell you exactly how completely this problem defeated every solution attempted. From 1962 to 1978, state and federal governments combined to spend $3.3 million trying to control the fire. That is 16 years of continuous effort. Millions of dollars, engineers, specialized equipment, expertise, limited results. So engineers and economists ran the numbers differently. By 1983, an Office of Surface Mining Study estimated the true cost to extinguish the Centralia fire, $663 million. That was over 40 years ago, when $1 million still meant something. A solution that cost more than $500 million was considered economically impossible, technically uncertain, and frankly insane. So the government made a different choice. In 1984, Congress appropriated $42 million, but they did not use it to fight the fire or save the town. Instead, they used it to buy out the town, to pay families to leave. From 1985 to 1991, 545 residences and businesses, were acquired and abandoned. 545 homes emptied. 545 families relocated because the fire underneath could not be stopped. In 1992, Pennsylvania acquired all remaining properties by declaration of taking. Route 61, the main highway through Centralia, was closed in 1993 because the ground had collapsed. A whole town erased from the map. But this is where it gets stranger. This is where the story stops making sense. Even after the town emptied, the fire did not stop. The Centralia mine fire continued burning deeper, hotter, beneath empty houses, empty streets, a landscape with nobody living above it. The government switched from fighting to monitoring. By January 2012, the fire had involved about 400 surface acres, but here is what the Department of Environmental Protection warns. Not all of that area was burning at once. Some sections were hot, some sections were cooling temporarily, some sections were about to restart. To map what was actually happening in the darkness below, they had drilled more than 2,000 boreholes into the earth since 1966. More than 2,000 holes, some boreholes recorded ground temperatures above 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest recorded reading was beyond 250 degrees. Some surface ground temperatures reached 900 degrees. Think about that number. 900 degrees at ground level. That is hot enough to ignite wood from radiant heat alone. That is ground that cannot be walked on. Ground that cannot be lived on. Ground that will remain hostile for decades. Centralia is not alone, and that might be the most unsettling part. The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection says the state has about 38 known active coal mine fires burning right now. 38 fires across the entire United States. More than 241 coal mine fires are documented. Worldwide, there may be thousands, but Centralia is the one we build stories about, the one we watch. The state still monitors this specific fire. Every month, visually, yearly borehole temperature monitoring to check if it is spreading, if it is still alive, if it is still winning. The DEP estimates that if left uncontrolled, the Centralia fire could burn for more than 100 years. 100 years from now, that means the fire that started when your grandparents were young could still be burning when your grandchildren are adults. So this is not a story about a disaster that happened and ended. It is a story about what we do when we meet a problem so expensive to fix, so difficult to solve, that we decide to live next to it instead, to mark it on maps, to watch it month after month, to accept that it will outlive us. The fire under Centralia is still burning, and somewhere in Pennsylvania, someone is scheduled to check those boreholes next month.